Shortly after the conclusion of his second regular season in the NFL, Panthers defensive end Frank Alexander and his family gathered together in Charlotte. Not in celebration of the Panthers' NFC South Championship, but because his mother, Juanita, had some important news to deliver.
We didn't know what she was going to say, and then she told us that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And, when you hear that, you immediately think the worst.
For the next 2 months, and in the middle of the Panthers' playoff run, Frank Alexander kept in close contact with his mother, getting updates on her treatment by phone. But Juanita never let on how much pain she was in. It wasn't until Alexander returned to Louisiana in March that he realized just what she's going through.
Man, I got home and, I seen my mom and I seen how the chemo just was eating her body up. Man, I broke down in tears.
You know Frank Alexander as the other defensive end who only played in 1 game last season. He was suspended 14 games after a series of failed drug tests. The news came just when Alexander couldn't get any lower. His mother battling breast cancer, his father recovering from a heart attack. Suddenly, his career was in jeopardy as well.
I just thought that, man, it was over, really. I thought, man, hey, it's time to pack up, head back to Louisiana and, try to start from square one.
But the Panthers front office decided to stand by him. Second chances are rare in the NFL, and Alexander knows what the Panthers' faith in him has meant.
They could have easily let me go after 14 games, So I will forever be true to them, for sticking with me through my tough times.
Now, it's Frank Alexander's turn to make good on the Panthers' faith in him. The team needs a dominant pass rusher to replace Greg Hardy. Head coach Ron Rivera has called it a make-or-break year for Alexander, who is ready to reward the Panthers for believing in him.
I don't want this situation to go down and Frank, he's all he is a failure. I don't want to be a failure. I want to be someone who's plays a long time in this game.
Coming up at 11, Frank Alexander has been changed by his mother's illness. What he's decided to do for other patients battling cancer to give them some comfort when they need it most. At 6, we told you how Panthers defensive end Frank Alexander was profoundly moved by his mother Juanita's battle with breast cancer. She was diagnosed in December of 2013, but he didn't get a chance to see her until March when she was well into her treatment. And the effects of chemotherapy, the hair loss and blackened fingernails were visible. Alexander spent time with Juanita during chemotherapy, just being there to support her through such a difficult time.
We sat there, we talked the whole time, I didn't want it to be to where she was there and she knows she had to go through the chemo, but I didn't want her to feel like she was there alone.
Inspired by his time spent with his mother and seeing others being treated alone, Alexander decided the way he wanted to give back was to simply be with patients as they received chemotherapy. He spent time touring Levine Cancer Institute last week.
It makes a big difference, man, because you got to think about how you feel compared to how they're feeling going through the chemo. Like, they feel, ain't no telling what's going through their mind.
That's just very, very cool to me because you're there for hours, hours getting treatment. And if you don't have somebody to talk to, it's tough.
What a way to pull the good out of a bad situation.
Right.